Medfield TV presents Meet the Candidates, interviews with our citizens running for local offices. This series is being brought to you by the joint efforts of Carol Mayer, Town Clerk, Kathleen Emerson, Medfield High School Social Studies Chair, as well as the staff of Medfield TV. I am Peter Barrett from Medfield High School, and today I will be posing questions to the candidate. She will have 2 minutes to respond to each question. At the end of the questioning period, the candidate will have 2 additional minutes to address the TV audience. Today we are interviewing Jean TODESCA. She's a candidate running for the office of Library Trustee. This position is for a 3-year term and there are 2 positions open. She is running unopposed. Jean, how are you doing today?
Great, thank you.
So let's just get it right started. The first question is, what does a public library trustee do?
Library trustee really works hard to advocate for the library within the town. In the long range, they work on library policy. They work directly with the director to move the library forward for future moves and changes. And they really work with the general management of the library itself. And as you know, the Medfield Library is called, has a enter, engage, enjoy format for the library, and that's what we always look at is what's the best policy for the town and the people in the town and how they want to use the library.
Okay, and what do you like about this position?
Like I said, I'm very interested in policy. I've been working in libraries for about 20 years. I've worked in a number of libraries. I'm currently the head of children's services in the Norwood Public Library. And as time changes, things happen in libraries, policies need to change. You need to look at your population, the way people's interests are changing, safety of people, and what are the best policies to manage for the town itself and also for their patrons. And I just find that very fascinating. I've worked on long-range plans. I find that whole evaluation type of process is very interesting to me.
So why are you running for this position? You touched on it, but is there any specific reasons?
I've always wanted to serve as a trustee, and I did work in the Medfield Library for about 10 years. I love the library, it's a great spot. But over the years, I've had a lot of family issues that I just had to take care of, responsibilities, and my life is lightened up, so I'm at a point that I can and help, you know. I was always involved working a lot, helping my parents, and now I can, so.
Yeah, you touched on that you'd been working in libraries for the past 20 years. Is there any other past experience you have that qualifies you for this job?
I would think quite a few things. I've got my library degree from Simmons in 2004. I've worked in multiple departments in libraries, primarily children's, but I've worked in reference. I've worked in technical services section and also circulation, so I really know how libraries function. I was a special ed teacher. I was a preschool teacher in Medfield. I also was a swim pond director for 3 years, so I know a lot about budgeting and managing salaries and everything like that. And I've been in town for 34 years and did a lot.
Plenty of experience.
Yeah.
So what do you plan on doing to improve this position?
I think the most you could improve with this position at this point is really listen to the director, try to really work well with her, and I also feel listen to the staff and make sure their needs are being met, and also just pay attention to what the patrons want and the town wants. That's probably the key things that I think, just really staying in tune, trying to get a feel of what's going on.
So do the public library trustees work on their own, or do you ever collaborate with other town officials?
Well, the trustees do work directly with the library director, but when you get into budgeting areas, when the new budget's coming up, the FinCom has to be included to evaluate the whole town budget, and also town manager and everything. You need to get their advice for the long range, and also you also have to see what kind of state aid comes into the library too. So you would have to work too, and also hopefully the library itself, which they have for years, work with the senior center and things like that too. So as an element, the trustees working with other departments, but then also the library itself functions with other departments too. So it's pretty cool.
And how do you plan on replacing the former director? I know there's been a changeover in directors.
Yeah. Mina Jane just started. So I'm kind of excited about it. I've been on the website already and they're already starting. I've seen 3 new book groups, which is exciting to get things going. I was noticing a romance one, a mystery book group, a biography book group. So she's already got the ball rolling with exciting things going on. So I just think it's going to be fun. And she also came from Bacon Free Library, and I've been at programs over there, and they've always been fantastic. So I figure we're in for a good ride, I hope.
And what will you do to keep the new programs in place running at the library? I know there's been a lot of new things happening there lately.
Right. Well, I think with libraries, any library, the creativity of the staff is what will keep things going. You need to have staff, which our library does have good staff that are looking for new things. You see this innovation going on all the time. So as trustees, we need to support them, make sure we get the word out, and also make sure the funding is backing them up, whether it's from the town or the Friends, or make sure they get that funding to help them promote themselves and support the programming.
Okay, and will you continue to keep the student programs going for students to take advantage of? I know I've definitely taken advantage of a lot, like the study sessions and the study rooms they have downstairs.
Yeah, I started that.
Really?
I started the high school study group thing probably before I left 10 years ago, which was interesting because it was the first time I had met with a student group, which was the first advisory, and one of the students recommended that. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So we've done it. I know it's developed more at the time. Back then the Friends gave us money for food, but I know over the years things have developed. I also, like I said, I started the very first advisory board and some of the half-day programming for teens and tweens and things like that. So anything they want to do, I'll support it because it's a great thing to keep going.
Yeah, those study sessions specifically have been great to bring the older teenagers and high schoolers back to the library. I think it's been very successful over the years. So how do you keep the library up to date with technology as things keep advancing?
Well, that's a tough one because technology, as you know, is fluid. It's constantly changing. And we also, with budgeting, you can't just go out and say, okay, we're going to buy all this new stuff. So I think one of the most important issues with any of this is you need to look at what people need and want. You know, does the library need streaming services for patrons? Does the what's the rotation of updating computers? What kind of programming do the people need within, you know, whether it's in the maker space or whatever. So that's something you have to pay attention to, like if you're moving money from budget to support it. But staff has to have the ear to the ground to find out what the new technology is. The collection development needs to change with the technology. So, you know, it's very fluid, and it's a common thing that we have to deal with all the time. So just keeping up with everything.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are really in tune with that, and you've been doing a great job of keeping up with the technology. But moving on, what do you want the voters to know about you?
Well, probably that I have vast experience. I enjoy libraries immensely. I go to multiple libraries. I've worked in multiple libraries. I find developing programming and so exciting. I just find it very exciting. So I would support a director or a staff that would want to keep new things going. And yeah, I don't know what else I can tell you about that one.
Finally, do you have any other hobbies or talents besides town government?
Well, most of my things, I'm more of a physical person. I've been a swimmer for years. Like I said, I ran the swim pond. I taught swimming for 20 years in Westwood, so I'm more of a swimmer, a walker. You'd see me walking Causeway Street and Vine Lake Cemetery. Some of the town history I'm very interested in, and of course, I'm an avid reader,
Yeah.
whether it's children's books all the way up to adult books. So those are probably my primary interests.
Yeah. So now if you'd like to take a minute and address the audience directly, if there's anything that you want to say to them.
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Jean TODESCA. I've been in town for 34 years. My 3 children went through the Medfield system. I worked in the Medfield Library for 10 years. I was a member of the Friends. I was a Friends coordinator of the Children's Department for years, so I do know the library. There are a lot of things I did at that library I'm very proud of, and I'm very proud of the things I've done at other libraries. And I just hope that I can do a good job for the town and help everyone out, and help Mina Jane, our new director, who's fabulous.
Well, Gina, thank you so much for coming out and
Thank you.
doing this interview. I'd like to remind the audience that democracy is not a spectator sport. Please vote at the center on Ice House Road on Monday, March 26th. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And thank you for watching.
Public librarian, library trustee really works hard to advocate for the library within the town. In the long range, they work on library policy. They work directly with the director to move the library forward for future moves and changes. And they really work with the general management of the library itself. And as you know, the Medfield Library is